What's up? Alright, so in this video I will be telling the story about the time that I got arrested while I just so happened to be on a pretty large dose of DXM. Now real quick, I just want to say, surprisingly, I have actually been getting quite a few trip reports sent in to me the last couple weeks, and just know that I am reading them and I will potentially get around to doing a video on them. So I have not forgotten about you, and if you would like to submit your own trip report, you can email me or DM me on Discord, and all that information will be down in the description. And also real quick, I'd just like to say that I am a recovering addict. I have 6 months of sobriety, and YouTube has been an outlet that has helped to keep me clean and sober. So with all of that being said and out of the way, here's what happened. So this happened back in like 2015, I think, and obviously at that time I was getting into a lot of trouble. And so one night I was bored, just chilling at my house, and my friend texted me and asked me if I wanted to come over. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll come over. And then I asked him, do you have any weed? And he said he did not. So I figured what I would do was pick up some weed real quick as I'm heading to his place. Well, surprise, surprise, I also had planned on taking Delsum that night, and I planned on taking 8 ounces of it. And the difference between Delsum and Robitussin when you're taking DXM, at least in my opinion, Robitussin kind of hits you all at once, and Delsum is time released. So it takes much longer to kick in and take the full effect, and I've had nights like where I've taken Delsum and then I wouldn't even be peaking until the very next morning. But for some reason, I don't know, I've always enjoyed Delsum over Robitussin. I don't know, it didn't taste nearly as bad. There's that. So I already had the Delsum, so I figured what I would do is I would drink the 8 ounces, go to pick up the weed real quick, go to my friend's place, and then I thought in my head that this would all happen very quickly. I'd get the weed real quick and be at my friend's house before I even came up on the Delsum. And weed always made Delsum so much more intense, which is why my dumbass just insisted on it. So I'm texting the weed guy, I'm like, hey, can you meet somewhere? And he's like, yeah, alright, let's meet somewhere real quick. Give me a few minutes though, I'll get back to you. So by this point, I'm already driving to my friend's house. I'm expecting him to get back to me by the time, before I even reach my friend's house, because he lived kind of far away. Well, when I start to get close to my friend's house, I still haven't gotten a response from this dude, so I pulled into a Wendy's parking lot, and I was sitting there just texting this dude, yo, where are you at, man? Like, can you meet me, please? I swear, dealers are always fronting, like always ignoring your texting calls like they don't know what the hell they signed up for. Anyways, I'm sitting there in this Wendy's parking lot, and I guess I was slowly starting to come up. And I honestly don't know how long I was even sitting there for, because I may have drifted off a few times. I don't really remember too much from that moment, but I remember when I kind of snapped out of it one time, I looked up and the first thing I see is a cop, like, pulls into the Wendy's parking lot, like, coming on the other side, like he's about to pull up behind me. And the second that I saw that, I knew for a fact, 100%, I was going to jail. Like, there was no hiding it. I'm not a good liar with cops. I had paraphernalia on me, and just I knew it was a wrap. Also, my dumbass was parked in an empty, closed Wendy's parking lot, and to make matters worse, I wasn't even in a parking spot. I was like right in the middle, just waiting for this dude to fucking text me back. So this cop pulls up behind me, turns his lights on, and I knew that was it for me. I rolled down my window. I tried explaining to this officer that I was waiting on a friend to come pick me up, and the officer already knew that I was kind of intoxicated, even though I was only very slightly intoxicated. That's all it took though, because I was very nervous, and so they had me step out of the car, and they were going to do a sobriety test on me. And I did fail the walk a straight line test, but I really don't think that was the Delsum. I think that was just, I have bad balance in general. Like, I'm a little clumsy, you know, being autistic and all, but it did not matter. As soon as I started like falling over, I was already like, oh man, I'm sorry, you know, I just got bad balance. It really is just that. And they were playing all nice with me. Oh no, it's okay, it's fine, you're fine. And next thing I remember is they put the cuffs on me, put me in the back of the cruiser, and then they brought me to the hospital where they would take my blood, I guess, to find out what I was on, because I did pass the breathalyzer. And what's funny is, like, by the time that we arrived at the hospital, I was already starting to get high. And that euphoria still somehow came through. The nurses who were taking my blood, I was having conversations with them, just joking around. I was even having a nice conversation with the officer in the car. Like, I knew what was happening, but that euphoria just allowed me to not really care nearly as much. So anyway, we arrive at the station. They sit me down across this dude who's asking me to take off all my piercings, show any tattoos that I have, and I only had the one tattoo at the time, and I also had my ears stretched. They were about dime sized, and so I took those out, and I never put them back in after that, which, you know, that's fine. They closed up completely too, which is great. That's fine though, because it was just a phase. So yeah, after that they have you just kind of sit there for a bit while they go get your jail clothes. And I'm sitting there, like, staring off into nothing. Like, I'm starting to come up even more. Like, the room is starting to kind of wobble a little bit. And it did kind of finally hit me, like, you're in jail on a lot of DXM. And I was like, oh, fuck. That does actually kind of suck. Of course, I'm more worried about having to call my dad and tell him all this. And so that time did eventually come. And before anything, they were like, go ahead and make your phone call real quick. And so I call my dad. He picks up, I'm like, hey dad, I'm in jail. He's like, yeah, I know. Because whenever you get a call from the jail, it like it tells you. So I explained to him what happened, and keep in mind, this is like 1 in the morning, so I know that he's pissed. But yeah, that was that. And hung up, and they bring me my clothes, and then they put me in this room to take a quick shower. Well, they hand you this little cup, and an officer follows you in there. He doesn't like really watch you or anything, he just kind of has to be present. And I take this cup, and I'm a little confused, but at the same time, like, without even thinking about it, I chugged whatever was in this cup. It was soap. So I drank a cup of soap. So I get my jail clothes on, and now I have this horrible, horrible taste in my mouth. I keep spitting all over the place. And I don't know why I drank it, honestly. I think maybe I thought, like, it was something that was supposed to help me come down for whatever reason. So they put me in a booking room with a few other people, and I was easily the littlest guy in there. So I was like starting to get a little worried. And you know, all this time I'm still coming up, and I'm going to keep coming up for hours to come. I remember just sitting there in this room, all these people in there are talking, and the reverb from their voice, like the room was so small and it just echoed off the walls, and it was very intense. And I was just sitting there staring at the middle of the floor. There was this drain there. The longer I'd stare at it, the floor just started breathing, and the drain in the middle just... And I'm just sitting there staring at this drain, people talking, these voices are fucking loud, and it's cold as fuck in the room, by the way. And oh my god, they put this one dude in there with us, and this was the most annoying dude ever, and he made me very uncomfortable. And it's partly my own fault, so let me explain. They put this dude in the booking cell, and he's talking to everybody in there, including me. But my dumbass was the only one in there that was like responding to him, so his attention, of course, that entire night went to me, telling me he was high on K2, they caught him driving on it, and he asked me a bunch of questions about me, and it was just so weird and uncomfortable. He even asked me what I was in for, and I was like, I just told him I was fucked up, man. I didn't tell him what I was on or anything. And this dude just went on and on and on about wanting a cigarette, wanting to get out, smoke some more K2, talking directly to me the whole fucking time. I even remember looking up at one of the other dudes, and he just kind of gave me this face. He's like, I don't blame him, like, I'd be pissed at me too. And this dude did not shut the fuck up for even a full minute, and I'm just sitting there high as fuck, having to hear it all. So next thing I remember is probably the worst part of that entire night. This dude decided he wanted to take a shit now, and there was a toilet in there, and obviously it's right out in the open, you know, and it's a small room. It stunk so fucking bad. And then he realizes there's no toilet paper, so he starts screaming, guards, guards, I need toilet paper, guards, toilet paper, I got shit drying on my ass, guards. And this motherfucker asked me to hit the emergency button to ask them for toilet paper, and I did it because I was desperate for this dude to shut the fuck up. So I hit the button, and they asked me what the emergency was, and I comically but kind of annoyed said, can you please bring in some toilet paper, please? And they're like, okay, we'll bring you some, but do not hit this button again unless there's blood. And I'm like, alright. Needless to say, they never did bring the toilet paper, and I'm looking at this lady on the outside who was sitting down at her office type area, and I'm just giving her this look like, please, please, toilet paper. Of course they didn't, but finally, after about an hour and a half of this fucking torture, this old guard walks by, and he was cool as fuck. He, of course, ended up being the only one to finally bring us toilet paper. And that shut this dude up, finally. for a few minutes. So then they take us all out of that booking room and they put us in this other room, and there was this dude that was walking around in there, and I guess he was kind of getting a feel for everybody. I don't know, he was just walking next to everybody, just walking all around us. And let me just admit, I know that I'm weak when it comes to the jail prison life. I couldn't handle it. I wouldn't last a year in there. I'm a little guy. So of course, as soon as this dude walks up to me, he stops and he asks me my name and he shakes my hand when I tell him. And that was it. He turned around, goes to the middle of the room, spits on the floor and wipes it in. I don't know what that meant, but I knew that handshake thing probably made me look very weak. So I'm thinking to myself, Dad, please hurry up before I get my ass whooped in here. I am very high at this point. And for some reason, they took me out of that room and they put me in a holding cell by myself. And again, I don't know if this was meant for my protection because it's something that they witnessed or saw, but I don't know, maybe. Anyway, so I spent the entire rest of that morning just sitting in that holding cell by myself, and there's shit all over the walls and it's just disgusting. Yeah, I sat in there all morning. They brought me some breakfast and I was not hungry at all, but I felt like I needed to eat all of it because just in case I was going to be in there a little longer than I had expected. They do finally take me out of the holding cell and they let me sit in a chair outside of the holding cells until my dad finally showed up and bailed me out. And my dad brought me home and I got ready for work that day. And I was high pretty much that entire day. I was tired as fuck too because obviously I didn't get any sleep. And yeah, that was a rough ass night. So yeah, that was the story of the time that I got arrested while I just so happened to be on a large dose of DXM. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the story. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment telling me about what experience you'd like to hear next maybe, or just tell me about your experiences or whatever. Also, please subscribe if you have not already. It really does mean a lot to me. And thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot. I appreciate the support you've been giving me lately. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.